Judge refuses to release Diddy over violence concerns. Ever since Diddy's name first got dragged into this legal mess, his team has been pulling every card in the deck to control the narrative. They've been pushing for his release, framing him as someone who's not a danger to anyone, hoping the judge would bite. But today, that plan crashed. The courtroom was tense, the arguments were polished, but in the end, the judge flat out refused to let him walk. And the reason? Violence concerns that couldn't be swept under the rug, no matter how powerful his legal machine is. But before we dive in, make sure you have subscribed. This was supposed to be a key turning point for Diddy. His lawyers came in ready to flex, not just with legal arguments, but with a full-on performance designed to make him look like the victim of a system that's out to get him. Behind the scenes, they'd been setting the stage for weeks. Media stories frame him as calm and cooperative. Carefully chosen paparazzi shots showing him looking humbled, even fragile. Every move was calculated to say, "This man is no threat." They leaned hard into a familiar defense strategy, downplaying past incidents, questioning the credibility of key witnesses, and pointing to gaps in the prosecution's timeline.
So you think he did none of these things? He was never present in any of these activities? This wasn't his lifestyle?
But a lifestyle and being present in activities doesn't mean he committed a crime.
Unless those activities and that lifestyle are criminal.
But those activities and the lifestyle is not criminal. What was notable today, what my partner Mark said in court, is they never once said that these women didn't consent to what happened. Not once.
They have now painted a picture of Diddy as a businessman, a family man, someone who wouldn't hurt a fly. It was all about creating doubt, and for a while, it looked like the narrative was sticking. But the ruling shows just how far that story really got. The judge's refusal to release him sends a clear message. No matter how many lawyers, publicists, and industry allies Diddy has in his corner, the shadow of those violence concerns is bigger than his influence, and that's the kind of setback that forces even the most powerful to rethink their next move. While his lawyers were busy making their case to the judge, Diddy's PR team has been running their own trial in the court of public opinion.
So what Alexandria Shapiro, who's the attorney that spoke to Business Insider, is saying is that in the future, Diddy wants to work with domestic violence programs. He says that he wants to talk to like other, people who are committing these acts and children and just different people to basically say, hey, here's what happened to me. Here's what I went through. I don't want y'all to do the same thing, make the same wrongs that I did. Basically trying to help people before they get to that point.
Yeah, in the future, after you've done the work, I have no problem with that. But right now, you need to be a student in those classes, not a teacher. You just lied about this last year. Literally. Mm-hmm. Remember when Kathy first made the accusations and he said it wasn't true, then the video came out, then he had to put his video out apologizing?
Yes.
He just lied about this.
This is a full-blown campaign to reframe him, not as the aggressive, dangerous figure painted by the prosecution, but as a misunderstood mogul just trying to get his life back. We've seen this playbook before. Humanize the celebrity, strip away the edge, and flood the internet with moments designed to spark empathy. Candid shots of him holding hands with family, or old throwback clips of his philanthropic work. Every post, every interview, every leak is meant to blur the harder truths under a wave of nostalgia and sentimentality. But here's the problem. That strategy doesn't work when the allegations involve violence. The public isn't buying the harmless businessman angle, especially when his reputation was already complicated long before this case. Instead of rallying behind him, a large chunk of the audience is doubling down on the belief that where there's smoke, there's fire. And the backlash isn't just happening in comment sections, it's showing up in how brands, industry peers, and former associates are quietly distancing themselves. Deals are stalling. Invitations aren't going out. Even some of his closest collaborators are keeping their heads down, not wanting to get caught in the fallout. For someone like Diddy, who's built an empire on influence and image, losing control of the narrative is almost as damaging as the legal fight itself.
Yeah, so essentially what we're learning from this judge, I mean, it's some of the same reasoning that we heard with the initial ruling when the defense also asked for instance, him to be released on $50 billion bail, in which case they're saying essentially that he failed to provide burden of proof as to why he should be released on this $50 million bail. Also citing his previous criminal background along with being a potential danger to society. So I don't think it's necessarily a surprise how that this denial came in, that in fact Sean Diddy Combs at this point will have to wait inside that prison in Brooklyn until his sentencing on October 3rd. But nonetheless, I also think that amidst all of this, it is incredibly likely that his defense attorneys will pursue other avenues in which they'll seek to have bail granted on his behalf and leading up to October 3rd.
The refusal to release him isn't just a legal defeat. It's a massive blow to the carefully crafted public persona his team's been working overtime to protect. And the longer he's stuck inside, the harder it'll be to keep that version of him alive in the public's mind. There's also a money side to this. Every day he stays locked up, the machine around him slows down. Sponsorship deals need his face, his voice, his presence to justify the checks. Without that, the brand value starts to drop. And in an industry obsessed with momentum, once you lose it, it's brutal to get back. Right now, he's still in a phase where his lawyers can frame this as a temporary setback and keep hopes alive for his release.
Is he still planning a music comeback?
He said, well, he's going to be back in Madison Square Garden.
Doing what?
I guess being on stage, you know? And I said, I'll be there.
But if the appeal is denied, that hope disappears, and the court's message will be crystal clear. They see him as too much of a risk to walk free while the case continues. That decision would lock him into months, possibly years, of being stuck in custody with no control over his environment and no ability to move his business interests forward. Even worse, the public narrative would shift instantly. People who've been on the fence might take a firm stance, interpreting the failed appeal as an indirect confirmation that the court believes there's weight behind the violence concerns. That's the kind of perception you can't just PR spin your way out of. The longer he's away, the harder it will be to claw back even a fraction of the influence he's had for decades.
Is he going to be less dangerous in October than he is in August?
I mean, October he'd be sentenced to something, so he wouldn't be coming home anyway.
He's probably going to get time served in October. That's what they expect.
I mean, to me, the way that it's been, that these bail conversations have been, I don't know if time serving, you just walking home scot-free, I don't think that that's going to happen, to be honest with you.
Behind the scenes, this could also embolden anyone who's been hesitant to speak out against him. If the court is publicly labeling him as a concern, other potential witnesses or accusers might feel safer stepping forward. That could add even more pressure to his legal battles, creating a snowball effect where every new revelation makes his position worse. In the end, if the appeal fails, Diddy won't just be stuck in a cell. He'll be trapped in a slow-moving collapse of his career, his empire, and his legacy. The walls of the courtroom may keep him contained, but it's the crumbling of his influence outside those walls that could ultimately be the bigger loss. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we will see you in the next one.